Derek McInnes picked up a second consecutive Manager of the Month award today, adding to the good news that his fourth and fifth choice strikers netted hat-tricks while on international duty. The Hearts boss also spoke about his future at Hearts and speculation linking him amongst the candidates for the vacancy at Rangers. We will discuss all that and more, and to do that, I have Joe Sked. How has your international break been, Joe?
Yes, it's been good. I enjoy them, but also don't enjoy them. It's nice they're a wee bit calmer, but I am very much a clubman rather than a countryman. So
Me too. I mean, there have been better international breaks. Without getting into it, there have been better international breaks from.
The two games were rotten. Rotten to watch.
Entertainment-wise, anyway,
Yes.
productive-wise. But I suppose it's a long way away from the days where it used to be constant, glorious failure for Scotland. But that is not what we are here to talk about. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Please get your comments in. We'll try to get as many as we can, as usual. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like what we do, head over to heartstandard.co.uk and you can read plenty of the content that we put up there. And if you're inclined, you can download our app. We think that is the best way to enjoy our content. Heart Standard is brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to S1 Jobs and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Start your search today. Now, Joe, the moment that we've been waiting for, that bit of confirmation that, I think going by what's been happening at Ibrox, I don't think McInnes was ever in the lead to replace Russell Martin, but I think it was nice to get it all sort of put to bed in stages over the last couple of days, culminating in Derek McInnes getting asked about it by Sky Sports and STV after he picked up the Manager of the Month award for September. And he said that he loved it here and felt that he was at the start of something.
Yeah, and that's the message. The message that was kind of being consistent from the last couple of weeks is when I've been speaking to people, and I've been very relaxed. Been very relaxed about it all. I think that I think there's been a lot of noise, and I think that's exactly what it is. It's just been noise. There has been more people touting and speculating for the job rather than noises that he is a leading candidate, like you said, for the Rangers job. Understandably, people within Rangers might look to him and go, he is a potential option just because of is a guy who can go in there and, like he's done with Hearts at a low ebb, knows Scottish football, knows what it takes to be successful when he's doing really well with Hearts at the moment. But yeah, I think a lot of people wanted him to come out and say, or just like kind of respond to it. Don't think he was overly felt overly like he wanted it, just because it was noise and speculation rather than anything concrete. As far as I'm aware, he's very much, and there has been not just this week, but going back to when Russell Martin first got dismissed. Very much, he was the message was committed to the club, and that was at this. Why would he want to leave when it is the start of something special at Tynecastle?
Yes, exactly. And that start of something special couldn't have got off to a much better start league-wise anyway. Hearts still remain unbeaten after 7 matches, and it's culminated in a second Manager of the Month award, which, off the top of my head, I think there would have been some managers that would have had 3 games to prove themselves. Hearts were one of the teams that had 2 matches, so it was a bit of a quieter month, but not that I don't know if there's any other candidates screaming out, but at the same time, Hearts couldn't have done any better in the 2 results that they did get. And again, it's another deserved award, isn't it? A string of awards that seem to be coming Hearts' way so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, September was a bit of a curious month because of the fact that there was a League Cup fixture in there, and there was an international break as well. So, but you can't look past team who have continued to keep winning, continue to be successful. Seeing with Shankland and his, we kind of discussed that last week. Kazarides' goal, which was undoubtedly goal of the month, and then the manager at the top of the table who has led the team to 100% record in the month. So it was pretty straightforward. First manager in the SPFL, Scottish SPFL era, to first Hearts manager to win the award back to back, and the first to win it twice in the same Premiership's top flight season. Robbie Nielsen did it in the Championship. I think he ended up winning four Championship Manager of the Month's award when we went and bodied our way to. When I say bodied away, I mean very that was a very positive bodying as we took the Championship by storm. So it is just recognition of not just McInnes but the work that the club and the team have done in general in the first 2 months. And like you said, long may that continue, and there's still improvement to be made on that.
It's a fair summing up here from Alistair Houston, saying I didn't think McInnes was ever going to take the Rangers job just now, given he'd said he'd fancied the Hearts job for a while before he came here and the success he's had so far. That kind of sums up what McInnes said this afternoon, doesn't it? That first bit there is not something we haven't discussed, is that he had his eye on the job for a while, like with no disrespect to like his former club. It's the club, as he said when he first got the job, he feels it's a club that can match his ambitions. I.e., it's a club similar to the size of Aberdeen, and he feels like he can do similar, if not go one better than he did at Aberdeen. That was kind of what he was meaning, really. And I get what you're saying.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's very much been keen on the Hearts job for a number of years, and it's came along, and I think he'll look at it as, you look at the timing of it was like the timing of the Rangers job. It's like that job just looks like an absolute mess, whereas the time of the Hearts job could hardly have been better, because you're taking over a team who are better quality-wise than they showed last season. And so there's scope to make instant improvement, but then you've got also the investment. Then you've also got the investment, you've got Jamestown, and just the direction the club is heading. So there really couldn't have been a better time to take over Hearts. And as he said, it's like, and just like dealing with him, both kind of dealt with him. He's very much enjoying being at Tynecastle, and the challenge, the excitement, the challenge around that as well.
What's this username all about? Hey, thanks for...
Oh, no, that's about Kabori.
That for later, sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I saw it starred and thought it was maybe for just now. Anything else you want to add on McInnes before we do move on to our other topics?
No, not really. I think he'll just be keen to get to Kilmarnock, get back into action, get focus on the pitch, and just reiterate what I said. It's like there's been a lot of... there's just been a lot of noise. I can understand like fans like frustrated just because it's like so used to it. It's like Celtic and Rangers have a managerial vacancy. It's like, oh, who's doing well? And then people touting them, and it's just like I could totally get people touting him, but sometimes it's the language around it where he goes, oh, Rangers should just go and get McInnes, and just like it's that should just go and get. It's like
I saw somebody suggest McInnes to the end of the season or something like that. Yeah, okay. And that is definitely going to leave Hearts for that.
So yeah, it's just a lot of noise. Concentrate on Hearts and roll on Saturday.
And just before we do move on, you've kind of triggered another question that I want to ask now. We will be speaking to McInnes tomorrow, and he'll inevitably be asked about this. But how do you think he'll be feeling about his return to Kilmarnock? One of the things he said when he was unveiled as Hearts manager, that he had nothing to apologise for, which obviously he feels that some of the criticism that came his way after he left Kilmarnock maybe was a bit unwarranted.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what he says. I think there's no doubt it's going to be a frosty reception.
Yeah, and of course, we'd do the same. Hearts fans would do the same if it was the other way about.
Yeah. So it didn't end perfectly, and that's just that's just like you said, football fans, not just in general, where if they feel kind of slighted or someone's left them and it's maybe not left in the best way possible, that there's always going to be a wee bit of like booing or resentment or whatever. And I think he'll be internally, they obviously won't be coming out and saying this externally, but internally he'll be thinking that there will be criticism, will be abuse, but it will just kind of light the fire and the desire to make sure 3 points and add in that satisfaction that he gets from hopefully winning on Saturday evening.
Yeah, and he's said a couple of times that there's plenty of people out there that'll be wanting Hearts to lose a game, and none more so than Kilmarnock this weekend to get revenge on Derek McInnes. Yeah, so it's going to be a feisty one. Right, let's move on to Landry Kabore, who managed a hat-trick while on international duty for Burkina Faso in their bid to reach the World Cup next year. Should we start by watching the hat trick, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, we can just. I thought I had them individually, but it's actually just a montage. So the quality, not sure how good it is for those of you watching on YouTube, but I mean, we can add it to the screen and just kind of discuss it. So first one latched onto a long ball. Second one was really good in terms of just his footwork in the box and the finish with his right foot. And then he got played through for the third one, and just managed to get past the. I'll just keep playing it because they happen quite quickly. But the third one where he managed to get past the goalkeeper and slot it into the bottom corner, and naturally, he made Hearts history with becoming the first Hearts player to score a senior international hat trick. I'll remove it now. Senior international, a hat trick at international level, senior international level, becoming the first Hearts player to do so, and just naturally on the back of that, the back of a couple of his goals in the bounce game, that there has been a lot of kind of chat about or excitement around him and wanting him to get more and more involved.
Do you think it's? I don't mean this as a criticism whatsoever, but do you think it's unfair to describe that hat trick as chaotic? There just seems to be something chaotic about him, and I think that's what we've seen from him in the snippets, especially the St Mirren game, the snippets that we've seen from him in a Hearts jersey. He does seem like quite a chaotic player, but it clearly works for him. He puts numbers on the board. He's productive.
I was having a conversation with someone who's a big fan of him from another, who's involved in another Scottish football club last night, and he described him as Captain Chaos. And I think that's what you get, where he is. There's going to be moments where I think it's just he's not the most refined of players or refined of strikers. So I think there's going to be moments where he looks miles off it or out of his depth. But then there's going to be times where he just does something out of nowhere, just incredible. And I think he's going to be the type of player who might not be the most sophisticated kind of striker in terms of being really crisp and clean, but I think he will be a big moments player, and I think you'll find that he'll be really. I think in time he's going to be really productive. Whereas if he gets game time, that even in games where he maybe doesn't play well, you kind of turn around 75 minutes like Kabori's not being that great, and then by the end of the game, he scored 2 goals and been like a match winner. And I think that's where he is just now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he develops.
I don't expect you to necessarily have an answer for this, but from the things that you've seen, the people you've spoken to, the scout reports that we've done, what do you think that is? Is that just some sort of instinct? Is that because he plays off the cuff that he gets into opportunities that other people don't? Have you any idea why he sort of is as you describe?
I think that's it. I think he is. I don't want to say plays in his own. What's trying to phrase it? Plays to his own tune. I think he is just that. That's just him. He's a chaotic. I think he's just got that chaos factor, but that X factor at the same time as well. Where I think teams will find him a nightmare to play against. I think there's going to be there could be games where he comes in and his teammates don't really know what he's going to do. He's probably at times going to frustrate them, but at the same time, I think he's got what will be hugely respected is he's got the work rate, and he's got the energy, and he'll give everything on the pitch. And I think we've seen that when he's seen that in kind of snippets, and that's certainly what Tom saw when he watched him in Estonia. And as Adrian Boyne says here, if chaotic can be translated into unpredictable from a defender's point of view, bring it on. And I think that's it. I think he is going to be very, very unpredictable.
And as Craig says, we're really blessed at the moment with our striking options. Now, I think we have two that are in form for Hearts. One that's been quite handy off the bench recently. And I suppose it's encouraging that these guys are going away. Even like Wilson and Kabori, to take them together, haven't maybe done much in a Hearts jersey collectively in the last couple of weeks, 2 months or whatever it is. But I suppose it's encouraging that when the fixtures do come and when there is loss of form or when substitutions have to be made, there are lots of options there now to play games different ways as well. It doesn't have to be just the two in form. It could be like McInnes seeing something in an opposition defence that he wants. But I suppose it's nice having these rather than, I keep going back to the last season, but there just seemed to be one option and then that was it. And now you feel a lot more blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's night and day to last season, where you've gone from relying on either Lawrence Shankland or James Wilson in his first kind of like full season as a first team player, to now having 5 options where you can make a case for them. I think it's only right to 2 seconds. I've got a dog scratching the door. 2 seconds.
Yeah, no worries. I will go with Greg saying our backup strikers are Scotland's youngest ever international, a Burkina Faso international, having scored a hat-trick, and a Belgian league winner in Kabori. Is a Belgian league winner, is that maybe stretching it a wee bit?
I would say that's perhaps stretching it, but he's got a winner's medal. It's factual. It's factual.
Exactly.
So
yeah. The point stands.
But that's the thing. It's like you've got Braga and Shankland have been building a relationship, and they've been scoring goals, and they're the first team strikers. Then you've got Wilson and Kabori not only scoring goals in bounce games, but going away in international scene and continuing to build up their confidence by scoring goals. And then in the middle, you've got Elton Kabangu, who has done extremely well recently to get himself back into, basically put himself third in the pecking order, if you will. And off the bench against Rangers, off the bench against Hibs, he has made a positive impact as well. So that's all McInnes can ask for, and he's talked about it quite a lot, in that he's been so pleased and delighted with the attitude of the players who aren't playing, and they're continuing to push those who are. We will see, I think, over the coming weeks, we will see a lot more of these players. Adju still to return as well, like Magnuson and Borchgrevink as well. We've got, after Kelly, got a week, then it's Celtic, St Mirren and Dundee in the space of 1 week. So between now and the international break, and we've got the next international break, we've got 5 fixtures instead of 2. So McInnes, when I spoke to him, the piece that went out yesterday, noted that he will begin to utilise the squad more. So that's all that Kabori and Wilson can do, is they can just keep reminding McInnes that he's there. He can do, when they get a chance, make it count. And that's what they've been doing. And it's certainly a much better place to be in, where you're having to make difficult decisions from a position of strength, rather than, for example, the last season, dropping Shankland away to Motherwell and then trying to work a way to find success when players aren't playing well.
McInnes also likes to use all 5 of his subs most games as well, if not every game. And And you saw the likes of Alan Forrest was out the team after getting quite a few appearances at the start, wasn't seen anywhere to be seen for a little while, and then comes on as a sub there towards the end of the game. And I'm not necessarily saying that means Forrest is going to play his way back into contention, but the idea is that your chance could come up, and then you have to take it when it does. And that's the situation that the likes of Kabori and Wilson, who we'll come to speak to a wee bit before we finish up, are in. Just a couple more comments here before we do. Sidney Devine puts a few points into his comment here, the last of which I think is maybe the most interesting. Is it Kabori time? I know we won't change a winning side, but I think he needs a chance to come on as a sub and play as a 9. Now, as we said, there's going to be more opportunities. There will be opportunities off the bench as well. We've discussed that. But I suppose one of the things we haven't seen yet is Kabori playing through the middle. I think the times he's played, so he's played on the right of a 4-3-3, 3-4-3, on the right of a 3-4-3, and then he played on the right of a 4-4-2 at home at Motherwell. But I think the idea there was to get him as like an inside forward. Mm-hmm. Sidney Devine has a good point here that we still haven't seen him play through the middle as one of the two strikers.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's where he scored all his goals for. And it's the majority of his goals in Estonia. That's where he came off the bench and played through the middle for Burkina Faso. And I think that's something that Tom was really, when he did the scouting report, like he was really strong on, is that he's a striker. McInnes sees him more as a striker, but I do think he's also could be really effective as on the right of a front three, but like a 4-3-3, for example, like at home. And I know the 3-4-3 was right of a front three against St Mirren, but like just the balance of the team wasn't quite right. So yeah, I think striker mainly, second best is off the left hand side in a 4-3-3 rather than the right of a 4-4-2.
Hey, thanks for looking in. You're welcome. Hey, thanks for looking in. I really hope he comes good. It would be fantastic to have other teams scratching their heads on how to defend our formidable front line. Again, it comes back to, I suppose we've already discussed this, options, Joe. Options. Shall we go on to talk about another one of those options? And that is James Wilson, who at Dens Park on Thursday night, right now he's playing another game. Have you got any updates, live updates from that, Joe?
It's half time, so I've been keeping half an eye on it. The Scotland under-21s are now winning 2-1 against Azerbaijan, but James Wilson hasn't scored. I think it's a deflected goal and a set piece header from a defender from a set piece, I think it was. So, but he has started. Macaulay Tate and Liam McFarlane are on the bench.
And he got a hat-trick in the previous match, a record-breaking 12-0 win against Gibraltar. Off the top of my head, their previous record win was 7-0 against San Marino.
Yeah.
2020, I think. Something along those lines anyway, if not exactly those details. And Wilson got a hat-trick. He was overshadowed slightly by Emilio Lawrence getting 4 goals. But, and I suppose to take his own words after the game, Joe, it was nice for him, and he meant this in the nicest way possible, to because he's just one of the nicest people you'll meet. Yeah. It was nice to send a message back home to let his manager know that even though he's been out the team recently, he's still doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought, because you were at the game, you spoke to him afterwards, and I thought his comments were like pretty much spot on. That he was just very as expected, and having spoken to him and dealt with him, he had that very professional, very mature outlook on the situations. Like, what's the point of me going to chap the manager's door when we're top of the league and Braga, and essentially top of the league, and Braga and Shankland have been doing so well. And he's like, the only thing I can do is when I get the chance, make the most of it, keep working and training, keep scoring goals, and whether it's a bounce game or international games, and he's done that. It's just one of those situations where there's been a lot of talk around Wilson. He is very highly rated by Derek McInnes. I expected him to be to maybe have a bigger involvement, but the season's still young. There's still 30 plus games to go in terms of Scottish Cup and the league, and I think we will see involvement in him from him. Sorry.
Alistair Houston is saying here, can you guys show the Wilson hat trick? We don't have that edited up, but it is quite easy to find. You can either go on to the Scotland national team's social media, their Twitter account, and I'm sure they'll have it there, or you can dig out the highlights somewhere.
No, the goals are on the Scotland national team's YouTube page. So right. I was on it earlier on, so you can.
So they've just chopped up the goals, you mean?
So basically, it's just a highlights package, but it's essentially right, because it's 12 goals, and the highlights package is just the 12 goals. So and he obviously scores them quite close to each other, so it's they're easy to see. But they're all very, very striker goals.
Yeah, the start of the game, he looked like so the goal just before he scores makes it 4-0, I think. And he had spent most of the game using his movement to kind of going between the defenders and try and get on the end of crosses, basically, but nothing was reaching it. He was getting crowded out. And then for that fourth goal, the cross was coming over to him for a tap-in, and the defenders basically had to stick a leg out to stop that, and it's ended up going into the net. And he sort of put his hands up in sort of slight frustration, thinking, because a second ago he was about to get his first goal. And then I think that was amid a period where Scotland scored 7 goals in 5 minutes. Oh, sorry, 5 goals in 7 minutes. He scored right after that, and then he scored instantly within a minute. He had scored another one. The first one, he latches onto a through ball and passes it past the on-rushing keeper. The second one finishes off a really good move, doesn't he? Comes across from the right and he puts it in. And then the third one's just very, very fortuitous. He's going into the middle to get on a cross, which he's got no hope of getting. The keeper goes to catch it easily. It spills out his arms. It's actually going in the net, and then Wilson just makes sure. And then he's taken off just after that. Gemmell had made a quadruple sub at half-time, and he had said after the game that his subs were just the opportunity to rest people and get players minutes, basically, because of the trip to Azerbaijan, which is ongoing just now. But it was overall a good performance from him. You've got to take the level of opposition into account, but I suppose that it was good. Derek McInnes has made good use of the bounce games, and this is just, it's good that a player that's not getting much game time with his club can still go away with international, and it still helps Hearts. It tops up his minutes, to use a sort of buzz phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think, bringing a comment from Greg here, if Wilson is struggling for game time come January, then I'd hope we'd look into a co-op loan to St Johnstone. Plenty of game time, plenty of games between now and then to force himself in the team. And I agree with that. I think January is maybe the time to reassess it and see how the next couple of months go with that. I wouldn't be rushing him out the door, that's for sure. But it's certainly, if it gets to January and he's maybe not got the game time that he needs or wants, definitely something that perhaps could be looked at.
Yeah, I think Graham Lair makes a second. Game Lair added in letters there. He makes a similar point without talking about the loan, but says, "Do you want to start Braga or Wilson alongside Shankland? If not, we should bring Wilson on. I think he needs more game time, or just even a start against a smaller side." I think I kind of agree with that. I don't think for the sake of it, but I do think that once the fixtures start piling up, as we've kind of alluded to a couple of times already, that's when he will definitely start to get more minutes. And then, as you've just said there, Joe, if it gets to January and he's still not playing much, and the best idea is a loan, might be a cooperation. It might just be until the end of the season as well, if they can find a club that they think's better. But yeah, that is definitely a potential option in January. Should we go into a couple more comments, Joe? Anything else to add about Wilson?
No. I was just looking at the comments. That's got.
Seems to be a theme in the comments. We'll go to it now.
Yes, yeah.
Dave McGee, any news on Devlin contract talks? I am SK. Hope Devlin doesn't have any sort of jet lag due to his travels and games in the States. His performances have been one of the main reasons for early success. I totally agree with that. And Joel, as someone who recently came back from the West Coast, how was the jet lag?
I found I've travelled back and forth from the States the last couple of years, and I've never had any issues. One day, a good sleep, one good sleep when you come back, and I think you're back up and running. So he is due. Devlin didn't play in Australia's first friendly against Canada, I think it was. They're playing America at 2 a.m. our time, 3 a.m. our time. Well, kind of tonight into tomorrow morning. So he will be back late, but. Cammy Devlin, so hopefully, first of all, that he plays and features because he's done so well to get back in the Australia national team. And then secondly, I can't remember which manager it was, but essentially, Cammy Devlin is his conditioning is such that I don't think he needs. He could just be rest up till Saturday afternoon, and then he'll be ready to go. I don't think there's any issue about him coming back late and being a doubt. He'll be in the starting 11. I don't think there'll be. I'd be very, very surprised if he wasn't. I just think he is a type of player and the one-off, if not at first, at the club that doesn't need to keep ticking over in training. I don't think that'll a flight and coming late back will have any issue.
Chris MacArthur says Kabori, Fuller-like. I would say that's from the little I've seen. I mean, definitely chaotic and rangy in the way that Fuller was. And Ben Odlin here. Will there be a Kilmarnock preview later on in the week? Yes. Now we're getting back to proper football, fantastic away support coming. And it's just one of those seasons where Hearts fans are just coming out in their numbers, isn't it, Joel? I mean, that back in at Livingston was incredible. I mean, that was one of the highlights for me in terms of the Hearts fans backing so far this season, and they're edging towards a sellout for Kilmarnock, albeit
it's sold out.
It's now sold out.
Yeah, just before we came on, Hearts tweeted that it's a sellout. So the initial allocation was 3,600 odd, and there might be scope for more. Don't quite know. I think it's around 4,000, just under 4,000. That's stand holds. So I don't know how they, at Tynecastle where we don't sell some of the seats in the Roseburn. So I don't know if that's the same at Rugby Park. But it's a brilliant away support, and I think it's kind of testament to the situation the team are in, because that's a team that will be. It's a game, that's live on TV at 5:45 on a Saturday. So it would be an easy one to miss or just go and watch in the pub. But it's going to be a brilliant, hopefully a brilliant game, but a brilliant crowd.
Anything else to add, Joe? Before we
I was just going to say that we'll preview the Kilmarnock game more in depth and on Friday. So we'll look at the starting 11. And they didn't ask, got to answer about Benny and Devlin contract talks. No update. Cammy Devlin spoke about it when he was on international duty, saying that he was keen to, he's open to stay, but it wasn't anything different to what he said earlier on in the season. So that will be, I think that will be an ongoing for a while.
Excellent, Joe. Any other business before we get out of here?
No, that's it. Thanks very much, everyone, for listening and supporting Hearts Standard, and be sure to check out the website.
Excellent, yeah. And thanks for everybody for getting involved. Comments-wise, sorry we didn't get to them all. We will be back later in the week to preview the Kilmarnock game. See you all then.